Well, here we are in the first Ravnica Premier event sealed. Um, our rares are pretty underwhelming. I mean, Foil Pithing Needle's quaint, but won't be getting played. And limited, of course. Volatile Rig's okay, but can really backfire. Detention Sphere's solid. It'll be unlikely to hit more than one thing, but still good as it is. Rest in Peace is completely worthless, as there's next to no recursion. Beastmaster would be great if it had support, and the Hellkite's normally too expensive to matter. So, um, I guess the start would be to look in blue-white, and it does seem like we have some good things. We got the Unsummon, a Guild Mage, the 3/1 Knight, and two of the Patrols. So that's not terrible. Also have a Vassal Soul, and a Dryad Militant, which might be playable. And the Frostburn Weird, also blue. So that's something. We have two Skyline Predators and a Void Wielder, and two Inspirations, all pretty noteworthy. Um, and that's quite a few inaction injunctions, but hopefully we won't need that many cantrips. So in white, we have Spear of Safety, which actually might be playable because we'll be playing Detention Sphere. We'll see if there's anything else before we stick on that one. We could probably play the Pegasus, Avenging Arrow, of course, Cellar of Songbirds, and Eyes in the Sky are all pretty valid. And if we're going that route, we could probably play the Arrestor and the Fencing Ace too, of course, with Swift Justice. Yeah. So the Civic Saver is probably fair with how many dual-colored things we have. Our Hellkite is not getting played. We have Lobber Crew, Double Batterhorn, nothing else really noteworthy in that. In black, we have just Launch Party. Green, we have a Herald, two Beetles, a Deliverance, Gatekeeper Vine, and Archweaver. Yeah, really nothing that impressive. It does have this Staticaster, who's pretty noteworthy. And Double Essence Backlash, but I don't think that's enough on its own to want to go that route. So, and we do have enough here that this is probably fine. Still working in green, probably not at all necessary. We're at 25 cards there. We don't have many ways to support the Fencing Ace, other than the Saber, and even then he's still just a 2/1. So I don't think he'll make the cut. But 24 with the rest of this seems fine. But I think I'd like to play some of the inaction injunctions at this rate, as well as Doorkeeper. I think I'd rather go more controlling than not, since, I mean, really we only have that in the air, and that's not overly impressive. I still think it's fair to play the Chromatic Lantern. It is acceleration and does tend to fix your mana. But it might not be necessary. I mean, we only go up to 6. It would definitely be better if we're doing it with something else, but in this case, I think I'd rather it be an inaction injunction or something else. You can bring in Mizium Skin if they're playing a lot of removal, of course. Bluster Squall, I really don't think we're aggressive enough for that to matter. We really don't have that solid of a build, unfortunately. We just don't have a whole lot of support or depth in any other color. Almost no removal. I think the Rage Mutt's probably our best card. As far as playability, I mean, Risen Sanctuary, 8/8, I guess, or the Arcweaver, but we don't have a whole lot of real strength here. So I guess this might be what we have to run and just hope that Detention Sphere in the Arrow is enough. I guess Civic Saber does make, like, the Hussar patrols a lot more reasonable at a 4/4 Vigilance, and, you know, it makes the Sky Knight a 5/1, all pretty powerful, and the few detention abilities we have seem fine. I think I'd rather play an Action Injunction over the Arrestor just to get to a flyer instead, since I think that's probably going to be our best route. But it should be fine as it is. We'll just go ahead and run this. Yeah, probably just as a straight 8 and 8, since I really don't think lands are going to be a problem for us. I mean, the only double blue things we have are at the very top end, so alright, we'll see how it goes. And here we are in round 1. This is a solid enough hand with Inspiration and the Arrow, as well as, you know, the Sphere. Nothing exciting, and certainly nothing going on early, but it's keepable. Hopefully we draw the weird, but, I mean, there's nothing too immediate. That'll do as well. Certainly a way to stall that out, short of any effects. Just nice and leisurely here, no reason to rush. At the end of his turn, we'll mill him for 1. Unless he attacks for some reason, then we'll probably Avenging Arrow. Here we just go along the same. The end of this turn, we'll probably Inspiration. Yeah, no effects, so that makes that nice and easy. Not terrible. Well, here I'm a little torn. I kind of want to play the Void Welder and just bounce the monitor and basically just time walk him here. And that's an option. Or we could play the Rig, but that could of course backfire and cost us our Doorkeeper and the like. But I suppose if that comes up, we can always just try to unsummon him. So I think we'll go that route. That way we can try to be a little offensive, and losing the Doorkeeper isn't a huge deal overall. And if he does attack following that, we still have the Skyline Predator. So it's doesn't really set us up for too big of a blowout if something goes wrong. Yeah, and I guess we just have to go ahead and block here. No reason not to block both. So we'll see if there's any effects. And we won the flip, so that actually works out just fine. Yeah, and that makes the most sense there to get rid of the Rig. I guess we'll see how this goes. Go ahead and swing. I'll probably block with the Death Toucher. So the first flip isn't going to matter. Well, actually the first flip will. The second is irrelevant. So, and lost the flip. So 4 damage to everything. And that happens. Would you like to choose heads? And yeah, this one's irrelevant. So I think we're just going to go ahead and pass, and we'll play the Predator at the end of his turn. And we can just Void Wielder on ours with enough for Dramatic Rescue if he tries to kill the Predator. Overall, we're still sitting pretty well. Courser's Accord. We're about as well set up to deal with tokens as we possibly could be. So, not to mention the fact that all of our guys are bigger than the 3 power that he's able to represent at any point. So, it's unfortunate for him. If he tries any populate trick, we'll just go ahead and bounce the other one. But at this point, I don't really think it's necessary. I don't even think I'm bothered with him being a 6/6, but we'll just go ahead and bounce it now anyway. It lets us attack full 4 this turn. Yeah, and that's probably game in a short order. Yeah, and that doesn't do anything to really matter here. Since we'll just play our other flyer at this point. We're only swinging full 6, but we're not in any real danger in any way. We can kill one of them if we really want to. It's not really a concern since I don't see him coming up with any way to remove both our predators in those colors. Just 2 cards in hand. And if he does attack with both, we flash in our patrol. Yeah, we only had to get 1 damage through. There wasn't a whole lot he could do. So I think we're just fine as it is. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of options. We could bring in the cancels, which we actually might do. Cancel over a Swift Justice. Since we don't have a whole lot of exchanges here, and bouncing and canceling is going to be more important. And similarly, I think we bring out the Dryad Militant, because it doesn't really do us any good here. A 2/1 just isn't enough. So, for another cancel. And here we are, although this time we're going to have to mulligan. A 1 land, even on the draw, isn't quite enough. And I guess we'll have to go with this. 4 lands and Doorkeeper isn't too awful, especially considering our opponent's deck. Rester makes it a little bit more aggressive. Mana Bloom for 1. Bit of acceleration. Mana Bloom's a pretty versatile card. Yeah, I think we have to go ahead and drop the Arrestor and then the Vassal Soul. Even though we'll whiff on his detention ability, he's still basically a Grizzly Bear for all intents and purposes here. I wish we would have had a few Knightly Valors or something along those lines for Sphere of Safety to be a bit better. It's a bit more of a productive turn for him. Still think we're better off just attacking through. He's only a 2-3, so blocking doesn't gain us much value. It seems like we'll be able to put out more power than him, at least on the short term. Ignoring the key rune, of course. He can just replay it for, oof. Well, he certainly switched up his deck a bit. Doorkeeper stops that pretty well, though. And he can still not block, so... Not too worried yet. And that certainly makes things a bit better for us. So we'll be able to get very aggressive here now. And I think we're better off playing the Doorkeeper to prevent 3 damage than we are to play the Pegasus to gain 1. Yeah, Civic Saber really shines with the hybrid cards, especially with any evasion ability, making Vassal Soul, of course, an ideal target. Well, he finally hit his second color, but yeah, he seems to have switched up a good bit for this. He was sideboarding for quite a long time. Five mana. I'm hoping it's just replaying the Mana Bloom. Long legs. Of course, we're not that lucky. He's still on a 3-turn clock, though, so I'm not that worried yet. And if we get a land, at least, he'll have to invest a lot just to keep attacking. Dramatic Rescue. Wish we had another land to go that route, but... it'll still probably be in our best interest to play the Pegasus here. Well, maybe not. I think we should leave up Dramatic Rescue, and if it's not necessary, we can always just replay it. I think we're better off casting the Rescue at the end of turn. So we'll take an extra 5 damage, but he'll have to recast it later. As opposed to now, so he won't get to attack with it next turn. Of course, it does leave him the possibility of doing something like that, but that's pretty minor. So yeah, that seems fine. And that way, if he would have tried to kill our Vassal Soul in some way, we could protect it. Mana Bloom for 2. Yeah, and that's fine. Now we'll go ahead and bounce the long legs. And short of him drawing some removal, I think we win. Yeah, the tap land's unlikely to affect anything. If he... And he most likely did just draw it, since he just drew the swamp and missed another land drop. So, yeah. And since he didn't kill our Vassal Soul last turn, I find it unlikely that he has a way to this turn. So we most likely have this game. He might have a fog effect. I guess that's possible as well. Ah, that's interesting. I wonder what he could have. Nothing I can think of is an instant, though. So I'm gonna go ahead and swing. We'll see what he does. Ah, Judgment. I should have thought of that, and I really should have moved over the Saber. I'm a little embarrassed. That's fine. We'll still get in for one. It's actually really inconvenient. Very poor on my part. Now, if he wants to attack, at least we'll make him pay the little bit it costs. Hopefully we draw land. And hopefully he just replays the long legs and not anything more dangerous. Yeah, there's that at least. So he'll swing in for another 2. I'm not sure what he's doing. Seems to have some effect. I don't think he's animated that. So, yeah. Oh, he was just paying the mana. Yeah, that was very awkward for a moment. I wasn't sure how that was working. Cancel. That's certainly something. So we should have this. Short of 2 effects coming up, I guess. We're gonna have to block the long legs, of course. If he would have animated his key rune, does he have enough mana for that? No, I don't believe he does. Yeah, because if he could have animated the key rune and attacked as well, he would have had us regardless. He might still have a giant growth, but then we just cancel it. So I don't think there's much he can do with 3 mana to cost us the game here, short of a second effect. Yeah, and we just go ahead and cancel Common Bond and we win. So, seems it was a good sideboard call to bring in both of those. Alright, on to the next round.